Hi again everybody, it's me, and today I'm going to show you how to make a GIF. There's 3 different ways I can show you how to make a GIF, or GIF. I'm going to be using GIF. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to do the caption GIFs, how to add a GIF on top of a still image, and the process on how to make your own GIF. So first off, though, I want to take a quick moment to shout out to Thriller Bark. It's a forum I am currently involved with. It is an anime and manga community that also has quite a few forum games such as Mafia and One Piece role-playing. So if you wanted a new community to check out that is, anime, manga, some other things that go on, you can go and check out thrillerbark.com. And if you're watching me from Thrillerbark's community, or the Creative Center, hi guys! Hope you find this very helpful for you, and that you can make your own GIFs. And I see some really cool creativity going around. Okay, so before we get started and you spend all this time watching these videos and get on your Photoshop and realize, oh no, I don't have the same setup as Tiff here. So I wanted to go, you wanted to make sure that you have these 2 things first. The first thing is going to be, you want to go to File, go down to Export, and you want to make sure you have the option to Save for Web. And it's going to have Legacy there in parentheses. This is the format of how you're going to save your GIF to use it anywhere. So you want to make sure, again, File, Export, Save for Web. And then you also want to make sure that you can go to Window and go down to Timeline and activate Timeline. If you don't have these 2 options, or these 2, I'm going to call them tools, then it's not a big deal. It just means that you are going to have to do some research on what the equivalent is for your version of Photoshop. I don't know much about other versions. I just know what I have, and if yours looks like mine, then you're pretty good. If not, I'm sorry. Google helps. Okay, so the first kind of GIF we are going to do is going to be the caption GIF, or adding letters and words to animations, over the top animations. So the first thing you want to do is go and download a GIF and open it up in your Photoshop. And then I'm going to go and open up my timeline here. And you'll notice a whole bunch of little windows just popped up here on the bottom row. Now, each of these little windows is called a frame, and each of these frames corresponds to a layer. So we have all our layers over here, and then we have our frames down here. So if we look along the bottom, we also have a few tools down here. We have our, where it says Forever for Mine. You can change how many times your GIF will loop. We also have Play and Stop. So this is the GIF I'm going to be using. It may look familiar to a few people. Joby, Stray Cat. Thanks for making this meme into existence. I love you guys. So anyway, and then we also have buttons here for a new frame and deleting a frame. So there is a frame in here I did want to delete, and it's this one here. And it's going to, I'm just going to hit the delete button, and it deletes a frame without deleting the layer. That's key. Now, with the GIFs, you'll also notice sometimes that you'll have some numbers underneath the frames. That's the length of each frame. So, if you need to speed up or slow down the frame, that's where you would change it, is this little down arrow here. But most GIFs are already set up at a decent pace, so there's no need to speed them up or slow them down. If you're wanting to make it shorter, you can delete a few of the frames in between here, a few more frames. but that does take a little bit of concentration and time, and I won't be going into that today. Alright, so now we're going to get to the caption making part. You want to make sure that you're on frame 1. You want to do all your work on frame 1. And you also want to make sure that on the layers, you're up at the top layer. You're putting all the wording above all the layers so it always shows up. And the first thing I want to do, I can either hit new layer, or I can just hit my text tool here and click it onto my GIF. And I'm going to type. And now I'm going to do a little bit of a, because I don't like playing with the numbers and stuff, I just stretch it out and make it go as big or as little as I want. I can go in and change the colors as needed. So I'm going to have that there, and it's still on 1. And if I hit play, after I apply these transformations, if I hit play, you're going to see it over the top of all of the frames. Cool, that's what I want. Now, if I wanted a second part to this caption, I would just hit text again. Every time you use the text key, it does create a new text box. You can go in and edit as needed of each text box previous, or each of the text box as needed, the normal way. But this way we're still doing another layer. So let me just make my second caption. Oops, sorry, Joey. Alright, I hope you guys are okay with me using your screen name here, Joby. I love you. This is fun. Alright, so I'm going to just make this bigger. Alright, that's where I want it. So, again, notice I am still on frame 1 doing all this work. Anything you do on frame 1 shows up on all of the frames. So, again, I'm going to just play it through, and now we have my lettering. But I don't want it to say the same thing through the whole entire GIF here. So, I'm going to leave the because up, but I'm going to take out the Joby after I do something real quick. So, I'm going to jump ahead for just a moment, and I'm going to start duplicating layers here so that I can change the color of the Joby here. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to duplicate layers each time just to make things easier in the long run. And one more duplication. Okay. We're going to change the color one more time here. Oh no, that's not good. Alright, so now I have several copies of the same thing. I'm clicking each layer, but you can't see it because I put them on top of each other. So I've deleted all of where I have the second part of my saying here. Joby, love you. Alright, and now I have just the because. Now I'm going to play it, and I'm going to pause it where I want it to stop. And it's not only about here, it changed a few times on me. Ah, here you go. So when I want to change the wording, I just unclick the because here and click it to where Joby is visible. So I'm going to go through for the rest of between frames 12 and 24 and put in making the because invisible and putting in a color Joby. Take out the because, select a different layer of Joby. And I'm doing the different colors because it's also how you would make it like a flashy rainbow kind of going on here. So each frame after that point you want to take out, the first part of your set of your caption to go invisible, and you want to bring up the second part. Because you're going you're doing this after frame 1, it's not affecting the other frames. It's when you do this on frame 1 that you have to go backwards a few times. Alright. So it's a little long process. You gotta click on each one to change it up. But it's totally worth it in the end. And you'll see. Alright, and one more. And there we go. Alright, so I've now corrected all my frames, and I'm going to go back to 1, and I'm going to play through. And there we go. We have captions over the top of a GIF. We have now created our own little GIF. So to save this, you're going to go up to that file, export, save for web, and you're going to get a screen kind of like this one. Give me 1 second here. Where did it go? Oh, wait, there it is. So you're going to get a screen kind of like this one here. Should be able to see it. I hope you can see it. It's going to say save for web along the top, and you're going to have a couple of different presets available. You're going to have GIF here, and then you're going to have selected diffusion. All of this is things you don't have to worry about or adjust or anything like that. You want to make sure convert to sRGB is checked. And then here you can change your image size, so that if you were wanting to make this a different size, this is where you would change it. It makes it a little bit cleaner to do it that way. We also want to make sure our looping options is still clicked forever, and we want to make sure what says, in this case, we have the full number of frames, so 1 of 24. If we see that we have the number here at the end, it matches how many animated frames we have, then that's what we want. So after you do all that, you're going to, sorry, I'm going to go back up here. The pop-up window doesn't pop up for you guys. So you save it, and once you click save, you give it a name. And then after you give a name, you click save again. And you are done. It is now in your file. You can go and click it, and it will be a GIF and animated. You can upload it to your favorite image sharing site and have a, what is it called? A web address for it. Ooh, sorry, brain fart. So yeah, you would get a web address for it after uploading to a image sharing site. So that is how you do the captions. Now to do an animated GIF on top of a still image. So let me just close all these real quick and bring up my famous SpongeBob Licky. Again, douglapark.com. Okay, so I could only have so many windows open. Sorry guys, it's going to take me a moment. So first, I'm going to open that one. I'm going to open this one. Boom. There. Okay. SpongeBob. Alright, so originally this SpongeBob looked like this. He had a white background to him. I just had to clean him up. So the way you clean him up is however you do your rendering. I did this with zoomed in and eraser because I'm crazy like that. And he was already a GIF. So if I hit play, I get my Licky SpongeBob. Now, remember when I said that there's going to be a time underneath the frame? This is the time when you want to remember what time the frame is. So this one's 0.1. So I've cleaned my GIF. I have made it to where it's just SpongeBob. I'm going to go over here to my layers, and I'm going to select my layers that I want to use. And I'm going to drag them over, copy, paste, whatever, to my image that I'm going to add it to. And I just drag and drop and put them in there. Usually just put them in there. Come on. Not pulling. Don't fight me. Alright, I'm going to start off with create frame. If you saw that, I said create a frame animation. So I have a still image here, but I'm adding a GIF to it. So I'm going to create a frame animation. I'm going to go ahead and set it to 0.1 seconds. And I'm going to try my best to get my SpongeBob over here. Oh, okay. So I'm going to adjust the size. When you're adjusting your GIF, you want to make sure that you have every single layer of that GIF selected at the same time. Because if you don't, then you're going to sit there and try to match up the same size, the same positioning, all of that, and it's going to be a very long and frustrating process. So it's just easier to make sure that you have them all selected in the beginning. So I'm going to put them there. Alright, now we're going to just apply the transformation. And we are going to move this over this way, because it's not supposed to be there. Okay, so we want to make sure that our bottom layer, in this case it's Hack from Yona, he's going to stay as layer 0, and he's staying on the bottom. And we are going to make sure that layer 1 is going to be there. And what we're going to do is we're going to hit create new frame. It's a duplicate frame. So I don't have to play with the time. It's already here. And all I have to do is deselect 1 and select 2. And I'm going to repeat this, going up to make sure and making sure I have each of my different layers selected all the way up. So 6 with layer 6. Sometimes it helps to have corresponding numbers on your layers so you don't get too lost. Sometimes it works that way, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm going to test it. That should be all the layers for the lick. Yeah, so I don't have this changed to forever. So as you saw, it just went one time. So this is forever. Now another thing you can do is after your, in this case, 8th frame, you can create a new frame and go back down. So you're basically doing a reverse. And you don't have to repeat layers 1 and 8 when you do this, because you've got it set to a loop. So it will reset itself and look really smooth for you. So show me the last one. Alright, so now that we have 14 frames, he's going to go up and down. And that's how you make it a continuous looking loop. So if you didn't want a choppy looking GIF where it just stops and then goes back to the beginning, you can always have it transition backwards. There's a few GIFs that allow that. A few other GIFs you'll have to just expand out the imaging for that. So that is how you would add a GIF to a still image. It's a lot of making sure you select the right layer and making sure you're on the correct frame. So you want to do all your work again on frame 1, and then you can go on and create your timeline. Again, you would save it, go to File, Save, Export, Save for Web, click Save after you checked your frames and your looping options. And that is good to go. And this one is actually the proper size for an avy or an avatar on a website. If your website that you want a GIF avatar for allows these, there's a couple of things that you have to make sure happen. You don't want too many frames. More frames means that the avy becomes super large. It increases its data. So you would want to make sure that you can get the GIF motion with the least number of frames. You also want to make sure that you have the sizing down to the pixel. This one is 150 by 300, and I'll be able to upload it onto my avy at Thriller Bark, and you'll see SpongeBob licking hack here. So that's a few things to consider. If you load an avy and it's not GIFing, you can definitely check the size of it. Again, you can look on the image, change the image in size, or as you're saving it for the web, you can change the size of the image there. Or check to make sure that you don't have too many frames. I found that the best number of frames to have for an avy are between 12 and 15, and not going over 20 frames. As long as you're under 20 frames, it generally is a good size to have. Alright. If you guys have any questions, be sure to shout at me in the comments or on the website if you're there. And yeah, so I'm just checking to make sure I said everything for that one. And now we can go on to creating a GIF from scratch or adding GIF animation on top of GIF animations. So for this one, I have a few examples of me making my own GIFs. I unfortunately don't have the steps I took for each GIF, but you can kind of see what is required when you make a GIF on your own. So this is a GIF I made with One Piece. It's Luffy vs. Cracker. And if you watch it, it's the Indiana Jones running from the rock originally, and I just put in some manga clips and what I'm calling crackers or biscuits. So in order to do something like this, you have to be mentally prepared because this is a long process. And with doing your own GIF, you have to think of it as a stop animation video. So each time you make a frame, you're only changing a little tiny bit. And you want to be consistent with how your stuff is, unless you're trying to make it disappear completely. If you want to make it disappear, then you don't have to worry about it moving just a tiny bit. The best way to do this is to make each individual item as its own layer. You can go back and flatten the layers like I have once it's all done and you've framed it out. But you want to make sure that you don't make something move when you don't want it to move. And the best way to do that is to have them each item on a separate layer. Because once you start messing with things that are not on frame 1, you lose consistency. So, sorry, brain fart. So, you don't want to do frame by frame with everything going at once. You want to just pick an element. So for first one I did was I picked Luffy's head and I stuck it on the boulder, and I slow stopped where his head would be on the boulder. And that's what I did first for all of these, is that I made each frame with a Luffy head where it was going to be. And then I would go through, and when it was time to add Cracker's head, I added him in. And the best way to make sure there's consistency between the frames is to do duplicate layers of the thing you're moving around after each movement. So between this image and this image, I increased the size of the head based from that one. So each time I moved something, I made a duplicate layer of it so that the next layer had where it was at, instead of having to go, you know, all the way over here for the Luffy face and having to move it all the way up here on the next frame. I just had a progression of where his face was on each layer. And then after all, and you can't tell the layers anymore, I'm sorry, again I lost the process, but you would flatten the layers afterwards once you've got everything planned out. So yeah, basically, like I said, you have to consider it as a stop animation video, and you want to make sure that you have all of your frames done up on one. So if you're moving things, you want to do it on one, the first frame if you can, just because it's easier to take it out of all the frames and put it back in than it is to add it here and be like, oh wait, I need it over here. You know, if you added some wording, like the knock knock here in frame 10, but I needed it also in frame 17, it would have been better I have it over here in frame 1 first, and then just go through and make visible and invisible. So I know it's not as clear here. I wonder. Here's another GIF I made. Make it a little bigger here. So this one, I made the backgrounds, and then I made small motions happen via talking and the TV screen here. So there's small motions that happen, like the cars here. So yeah, like the smoke behind the cars, they kind of start moving faster. It goes faster here, but these guys stay the same because you can have images stay up over a course of frames to make them last longer and still have faster frames going in the background. So I know that's not making clear. I'm sorry. I didn't want to show an example of this because this video will get really, really long. But so actually, so like what I did with the animation I made earlier. You can change the, like when I change the colors here. So if I wanted to make the Jobies here stay not so fast on the color, anyway, sorry, that was a fail of a show. I'm sorry about that. But I would just make it to where that was an orange Joby, that's an orange Joby, this pink, you know. That's how you'd make them last a longer color instead of being a flashy flash like it is there. So I know it's starting to log here in the last like 30 minutes. It's a long video. So yeah, it's, again, the key to making your own GIF is to make sure you have time and energy, because it is stop motion. This video clip is 30 layers, or 30 frames, 30 layers, but I definitely had over 100 layers at one point, just to make this short little animation GIF with a few crackers, knock knock, and Luffy's face. So, yeah, yeah, I think that's all the tips I have for making your own GIF. I know, so, like, helpful. If I end up making my own GIF and I can make it quick, I'll post another video of the actual steps. But it is a long process. It is stop motion. Like each frame is a different stop motion going on. So the key is to have multiple layers for that. So yeah, I think that's the basics of animating GIFs, making your own GIFs, the adding words to GIFs. You just make sure that, you know, if you're adding words, they stay on the top layer. SpongeBob lickies. If you have a picture that you want a GIF on top of, the picture stays on the bottom, and you change your GIF, try to match the GIF speed that you had before, and make sure you're saving it for export, essentially. And yeah, I think that's all I have for you guys. I hope this helps a bit. If you have any questions, just comments, and I will try to answer the questions in a better way than this last 10 minutes or so have been. I'm sorry about that. I'm totally an expert. Alright, well, I hope this helps, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys enjoy making your own GIFs now. Okay, see you next time. Bye-bye.